Hello, I'm Cora Bissett. I'm a theatre director and writer, and still sometimes actor, and occasional songwriter. Worked as an actor for a good 15 years before I started up my own company and realised I really wanted to make my own work. I think it's really important to set the tone right at the start. You're the one steering the ship, and as the director, I think setting that tone in the rehearsal room and kicking off on the right foot is really, really key. I think it's about really seeing everyone and letting everybody know just how many people are involved in bringing this show together and respecting every single person in that room, and just really, you know, those introductions, it seems like a formality, but it's not. It's really a way of saying we all make this thing together. Without that stage management there, without that producer there, without that person doing that there, this whole thing can't hang together. Sometimes I do a room agreement, which is something that I learned when I was working out in Canada and in America in the past couple of years, which is a way of saying, okay, the world has gone through some pretty tumultuous times in the past few years. Let's set the rules for our room, for the room that we are all working in today. Let's agree those collectively. Lay it out on the table. This is what's good for me. This is where my boundaries are. This is how I like to be referred to. Just get it all out on the table. And then you've got to have fun. You know, I think no matter what show you're doing, sometimes some of the heaviest material that I've been working on, stuff that could be, in a sense, very traumatic or you know, really quite dark places to go, you've got to find a way to release that. And so I think starting again with warm-ups and with games and just getting people come through each other and just losing those inhibitions. I think laughter is the great binding agent, and once you've just learned to laugh with people, you'll learn to trust them, and you'll learn to go to some really difficult places. So many beautiful collaborations, to be honest. It's hard to pick out one because I think every project I've done, I've tried to not always just go to the same team. I try and mix it up a bit. The most recent one I worked on was when I was doing the Snow Queen at the Lyceum, and with brilliant writer Morna, and with Finn Anderson, the composer, and Jack Webb, the movement director. And you know, months in advance of getting into the rehearsal room, we'd be speaking a lot about how the music would sit and how movement would work with the music. And sometimes it was really quite dance-oriented stuff, but other times it was much more, how do we create an old steam train coming through a tunnel just with actors' bodies and a couple of instruments and sounds, and you know, how we do that. Jack, the movement director, is so gentle and open and unprecious that we would just get in there, and we had a plan of attack. You know, we had a really close working relationship where we had lots of ideas we were bringing into the room, but I think both of us were very comfortable with each other. If that wasn't quite working, let's just go down this direction. Let's kind of see what we're doing there. A bit of that's working. Let's push that further in this direction. It's not failure. It's not. Oh God, that was a really bad one. It's just, you got to try stuff. You got to try stuff till you get to the good stuff. There's just a kind of unspoken flow where you're bouncing off ideas, and if one's caught for a moment going, oh, I'm not quite sure where to take this, the other one will swoop in, and you know, you have a very good plan, but you're also thinking on your feet, and you're with someone who doesn't need to be rigidly stuck to the plan and can also just kind of fly with you flexibly. That's the dream. That's how I love working. When you're looking to work with, say, a composer or a movement person or an animator or a video design person, you might have seen their work, but you don't know what it is like to work with them. Just go for a coffee and share the material. I'll have given them the material in advance, and just get a wee bit of a sense of how they respond to that. I'm not looking for any, you know, product on the table or anything, not at all, but just kind of what it sparks in their head. Are we kind of on the same page? Do we sort of get excited by the same things? I think it's really important to have meetings, not to feel like you've got to just jump in, and make that, just be very transparent. Just say, I'm just trying to find the right connection. Being very clear on what the roles are. If it's a all-round collaboration and everybody's on the same level, be clear about that. If there's a lead artist and you're asking this person to collaborate with you, but you are still the lead artist on the project, that's totally fine, but just so that's very, very clear to the other person, so that they understand that it's either a democratic, we're making this all together, or there will be a point at which I'm really open to your ideas, but I'm going to ultimately steer this ship, and as long as we both know that that's the process. And I think just having a really clear sense of the prep time that's going to be required. It's months before the actors get in the room, so that you can really hit the ground running when you're in the room. What's our starting point for that? How are we going to tackle that? What's the ideas? We share lots of videos, we share lots of Pinterest boards, we get lots of moods, images, music. You just build up this kind of bank of here's the languages and the textures and the visual imagery that we're kind of going with here. It's all in the prep, all in building that relationship before rehearsals, being respectful of their time through rehearsals. You know, it might be that you're full-time in the room every day, but your other collaborators might not be, so be really smart about your scheduling. It's all communication. At the end of the day, it's been really clear about what you're trying to get out of any process and communicating that really clearly to the people that you're asking to come on board with you. I suppose you're tripling up your chances of working. You know, it's about survival as well, it's about resilience. I just thought, okay, nothing's happening over here, I'm going to develop this side, I'm going to develop this side, and oh, now I'm really interested in that area there. So one kind of leads into the other, but I think it's okay to also go, this is my main one, and occasionally on the right project I'll dabble over here, but this is kind of what I do predominantly. It really gives you a sense of what everyone else's roles are, and really respecting and appreciating those. Having had an experience of writing, I really do understand how hard that is. Everybody's job is very idiosyncratic and has its own challenges and has its own process, and if you've done a bit of all of those, hopefully you have a better understanding and empathy of what all your creative team are, you know, dealing with. It's always really nice to get to that, you know, to that opening point, and if a show is really working and you're proud of it, and you know, sometimes you don't get to that point where you're totally happy. You go, I did my best, and it's a good show, it's not perfect, I can see the flaws, but it's bloody good, and everybody's really busting their gut to make it work. But when you get to that really sweet spot sometimes where you're like, I'm really proud of this, and that's the show I set out to make, it's just nice to unwind with the whole creative team that have made it together, and then, you know, breathe for a day. Go and play with my wee girl in the park and not think about things for a little while, because you've probably been working 17-hour days up to high-do for the past 2 weeks, so I like to just decompress for a little while, and that's maybe how I celebrate.